Adrian says, I had to ask, but was Penn State overrated? I'm not gonna to go that route as far as you beat a team that we all talked about and everyone had their score predictions. I thought it would be a closer game, but I thought Michigan would win.
Hmm.
But I'm not. I think Penn State is one of the 15 best teams in the country. I don't think that's
Yeah,
crazy. And I just
yeah,
think Michigan is truly that much better. I think Michigan's strengths really was I think that was a bad matchup. I think because what Michigan does really well, run the football, even though Penn State, statistically had done it well, Michigan just does it at such an elite level that the Penn State was just kind of stuck. And I think the only possible way that Penn State had to move the ball against Michigan's defense is for them to throw the ball down the field, and they didn't do that. So, and then Penn State offensively is just, I mean, they're not. I don't want to put them on Iowa's level, but just no one concerned me for Penn State's offense. Like no one was there.
yeah. I'm sorry, I lied. You have to highlight comment by Stan. I want to address this first by your broker. Came in at 5:36.
Your
Um,
audio keeps going up and down. What'd you say?
I said you have to. Do I sound good now?
Yep, you're good.
I say you have to address. I'm laughed at this comment by Stan at 5:36. But I want to address this question by Adrian first. Um,
This is unique. Go ahead.
um, so Adrian, it's funny, man. We always play this game, and I'm guilty of it. A lot of us are guilty of it when there's I said it earlier, when it's a highly ranked matchup, and then the final score shows a high disparity in teams than what the ranking difference would indicate, right? You wouldn't think the number 14 versus number 10 team would be a 25-point difference or whatever it was, or 27-point difference. However, there are a couple of things that I think playing here. One, recent history, Penn State never plays well against Michigan at the Big House, right? If you exclude 2020, and I don't count that, especially there were no fans. Penn State seems to get destroyed when it comes to the Big House, right? Uh, Two, Michigan, I think when you look at both teams coming into that game, I think was playing more consistent on both sides of the ball, right? Michigan was playing better football, and not every undefeated team is in how good they're playing is weighed evenly, right? So were they slightly overrated in terms of their ranking number? Perhaps, but I'll be careful to say that in a way that uh, degrades them to like a non-rated team or not a solid football team. They're a solid football team. They have talent, especially on their defense. But on Saturday they had a bad day and they got beat pretty convincingly by a team that was a step or a step and a half better than they were.
But even
But it
on
doesn't
the
mean it
on
was
the, I'm
bad.
not sure they had like if that game happens tomorrow, I'm not sure it's that different. Honestly, it's probably worse because you probably don't have those two fluke plays. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I don't think I subscribe to the Penn State had a bad day at the office. Like, didn't they struggle with Purdue? Purdue's not a awful team, but Purdue's not a game wrecker or anything like that. They're not world beaters. So
they're
I
not a bottom feeder. Purdue is like the average Big Ten team under
correct.
Joe Brom. They're not a bottom feeder like a Rutgers or Northwestern, but
And Penn
no,
State like that. I mean, that was what
Purdue.
a really close game, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken, right?
but granted, and I'm not going to prop up Purdue. I'm not going to do like what some of you guys do with Maryland, right? I'm not going to prop them up much, but I will say Jeff Brom has had some pretty convincing wins, at Purdue. They went at Iowa and beat number two Iowa on the road last year. We saw them beat Ohio State at home back in 2017 and 18. So Purdue has been a pain in the butt for a lot of the upper echelon Big Ten teams, and so I mean when that game happened, Des, I wasn't like at that time like, oh wow, Penn State must not be this good this year because they're struggling with Purdue. Purdue sometimes can be a pain in the butt. The shoe fits before when they were good. Um, so at the time, I didn't really, kind of overlook, overanalyze that. Look, I think Penn State is a solid is really really solid. I think they are still the best team that Michigan has played this year, and I think they're better than any team that Ohio State has played up to this point this year. Penn State will beat Purdue. Will beat Notre Dame. Okay, it'll be any team that Ohio State has played this year. So I don't want to go with vision of history, but Penn State will beat Maryland. Okay, but
Would they?
I think they will. I think they will.
I think it'd be close.
I think the physicality of Michigan wore Penn State down and broke them. I really do. I really do.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm just talking strictly the Maryland Penn State matchup. Do they play? So maybe we may not even need to argue about this. Penn State. But
it may not even matter. Didn't Talia get Carter off the field due to a leg injury? I think I saw that on the ticker.
Not sure, but they play in like a month, so they play each other. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure that that Penn State beats Maryland, but who knows?